clicking the live button and it's not going. Of course. Well, maybe we'll have no Instagram today. That's a bummer. Oh, sorry, man. Put these ears on so you can hear. And then put that. Check. Check again. Check. You got you? Is that loud enough?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear you?
I can.
All right. You should have some more slack if you pull on that.
Check. Yeah. Can you hear me?
All right.
Okay. You want me up in it, like hot, like all the way?
I can turn you up more too.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Try it again.
Check.
Yeah, they're near field mics. You kind of got to be close.
Okay.
But I'll turn you up a little bit more.
Okay.
The purpose of the near field mic is so
I
that
understand.
if there's any,
That's better.
is that Johnny?
Oh, Johnny.
Don't drop Johnny.
Johnny, I got you.
Here, give me Johnny.
I got you.
Johnny's fine. If he's wedged in there, he's fine.
He's good.
So I've been doing this series called Truth Thursdays, where I get together with a friend, generally somebody that's doing something. You know what I mean? Like whether they're doing public speaking related to from everything from human trafficking to like musicians, so anybody who's doing something that has something to say, right? So that's I've been doing that on Thursdays. So trying to expand into a few more days of the week. So it's Tuesday. So we're gonna call this Truth Tuesdays. So got Joshua Payne here with me. Classically trained opera singer. Well, I don't know. You tell.
No, go ahead. You're doing great.
Okay, classically trained opera singer, booming voice. You can pick the guitar real nice as well. I like that. You do an occasional traveling rodeo.
Yep.
You've done acting.
Yep.
You have a film out there right now. You can say the name on that.
Yep.
If you
Division with Jamie Andrews, and it's doing the rotation on some of those. You know how they do? It'll be on one thing and then it'll be on another. Maybe Hulu now.
Okay.
I don't know if you can still get it on Amazon Prime or not. I don't know.
I haven't seen it, but I want to. You
Oh,
have to
okay.
send
Yeah.
You have to
No,
send me whatever the active link
It's cool.
is. And then
So-
also we can save this and then I can link the active
Oh yeah, that'd be
link
great. That'd be
into
great.
the bottom of it.
Yeah,
So
watch it. It's a modern day kind of a socioeconomic clusterfuck.
it sounds
built on Romeo. It's a sort of a Romeo and Juliet story. You know, if you can imagine,
but with modern
Yeah,
monetary
yeah,
problems,
right.
with fiat currency monetary problems.
right smack dab in the middle of COVID, and it is not subtle.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I believe it's pronounced convid. Convid, I believe is how
Oh,
it's
it is?
pronounced.
Okay.
Yeah, the plandemic. I believe it's also how it's convid
I
plandemic.
always call it the COVID administration. Is what I.
Oh well, there are branched COVIDians now too.
Oh, really?
It's a religious sect that
Oh, wow. I
they
didn't know
believe
Huh.
they believe in whatever they're told to believe.
Oh
Have you met any of them?
no, I haven't.
No, lucky you.
I haven't.
Lucky
I
you.
haven't. I mean, not like people who claim, they're.
Well, I mean, there's
that they're
people that
branch
have
Covidian.
tattoos of the lot number and the experimental gene therapy that they got on their arm.
Holy moly!
Yeah.
They get paid to do that.
No, they do that just for the love of the game.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, nobody's apologizing to me for not getting poked.
I know. What a weird time to be alive. It sounds like the film captures part of the
It
weird
gets
time to be alive.
gets a lot of the it gets both sides. It really does. I play a kind of a what is that right wing group, MAGA or whatever you call it.
The Make America Great movement.
Yeah, those guys. I play a guy who's lodged himself in the middle of that, but he's 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 a war vet who got injured, came home with PTSD and a head injury, and he's in love with a gal who's Hollywood, and she's left side of the world, and so it's called Division, and they're trying to figure out if they can love one another.
That hits. You know what's great about that is that hits home to a lot of people because, women being more having more empathy.
Yeah.
They're much more likely to side to the left than the right. So that's like a modern day.
He's a sensitive trumper.
Okay.
Real sensitive.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I mean, I could dig that. I would never claim to be a trumper, but I would say
the character.
I'm a sensitive conservative.
Yeah, I'm a sensitive conservative. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I live in a very strange world in my mind that I don't talk about very much. I observe and go, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I've
I'm
always lived my life too.
Oh, well, oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, everybody's doing that. Well, I'm going to do the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
the
way I tick.
I feel, yeah. If you ever find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause, reflect,
Absolutely.
And adjust course.
Yeah, everybody's moving to Atlanta. I'm going to move to LA.
So. Yeah. I'll take neither of those, please. But so we're both observers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been to many barbecue meals with you over the years, and I would say that we both are observers of culture and observers of goings on. So I guess
a curator of information,
mm-hmm.
Without judgment, something that sits and stews and lets things marinate a while. I don't have much knee jerk.
Right.
In my method.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I watch and go,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you're knee jerking, you're operating on an emotional reaction.
Fear.
And now
mostly.
Well, that's the one that's most programmed, that's most projected out.
Well, that's the one they hope to inoculate you with.
Right. Right, and then
that is the medicine, fear.
If you do so I'm not a Bible thumper by any stretch of the imagination. I'm an Emerald Tablets thumper. I don't know if you're familiar.
I do know
with
the Emerald Tablets. Yeah, can't burn them, indestructible.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very old.
Yeah.
And the majority of the stories in all of the religious texts go back to the Emerald Tablets.
Right.
So I will admit, most everything is in the Bible. I think it can be wordy at times.
Yeah.
But most everything is in there from the Emerald Tablets, just often in a more wordy way. And then, of course, in the 1600s, it was kind of hijacked, the King James Bible.
Right.
And they changed a lot of words to make it...
Well, they're reading it linearly, and it was never meant to be read linearly. You can't translate something. It's a crossword puzzle. The reason that they scribed it from the center, the Torah, is because you can actually, those crossword puzzles where you sort of dig out words and you circle words and whatever. Imagine grabbing a book and being able to read it that way, and that way, and that way, and that way, and that way. So somebody came up with a thing called the Omega Code, which was sort of founded on this thing. And the deep scholars, the guys who have the Kabbalah, those Kabbalah scrolls in LA and whatever, and they have them. Mm-hmm. That's what they would scribe from the center because it's all there. They believe that every name that has ever lived is there. They believe, And so we're reading the Torah very, very linearly. And so when Jesus said, look, not one jot and tittle will be stricken, it wasn't will, it's that it can't be. Because inside of that is the codec of what we are, And so if you start with word, in the beginning was the word, which is word was God. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so Abraham had the codec inside of him. And so he was able to navigate in a way that was, he's able to navigate with integrity, it was accounted to him as righteousness. because the codec was inside of him. And if you'll sit and you'll stew, and you're talking about stewing, and going, okay, I'm not going to be hijacked by fear. And so you sit in it. What happens is it actually says that the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, the Divine Spirit, will make and impart all things unto you, will make known those things as you meditate. And so if you've got this codec, you know what I mean, that is, 19.5 billion years old, or however old this thing is, that exists inside of us, and literally you have in your DNA all the information that ever was. I have a feeling that if you'll sit and stew in that, in your Holy of Holies, right?
Oh, okay. That's your point,
in your Holy of Holies, I'm pointing at your gut.
Yeah.
Sit and stew on it. You will absolutely have the ability to download truth.
Yeah, and so a couple of points.
No, go. Yeah, sorry to just run away.
Well, no, but you made one thing I wanted to say is that the King James Bible, they changed a lot of words in the mid 1600s. Yeah. So they made a more potent book, more impotent than it was previously. Right. But still, if you search the words "do not fear" in the Bible, you know how many times "but do not fear," you must not fear, do not have fear. It is just riddled from top to bottom with telling you to not fear. FDR
it's not a
said
suggestion, it's a commandment.
Right. FDR said it too. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. Right. It is the poison that has infected our society. People are running in fear all the time. And it's a potent way to control people. And,
if you don't check in on your Facebook, or you don't check in on your Instagram, or you don't check in on your whatever, suddenly there's a brand of fear there. It's the fear of missing out. It's the idea is to make you fractious. That's what fear does.
Well, right. To fraction your being.
Fracture your focus, and so we have this blinking light that we're staring at. Which is it's fracturing us.
Well, not just fracture your focus, fracture who you are. Yeah. So the Japanese, for example, have a saying that everyone has three faces. Have you heard of this?
I don't know if I have or not.
Japanese proverb, it's everyone has three faces. One you show to your family, one you show to your friends, and one you show no one.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
So how potent are you if you have three faces? Now, I would make an argument that today in American culture, a lot of people have 25 faces. They have the face that they show their one group of coworkers. Then they have their side hustle. They show a different face there. They show a different face to their family. They have multiple friends groups. Yeah. And in each friend group, they might show a different face. And they might have a face that they show on, perfect for example, especially as you go younger today. People will have 3 different Instagrams or 3 different Facebooks, one for their friends, one for their family, and one that they do whatever they want to do. So we're injecting so many different ways to fragment people's personality. And now if you don't know who you are, if you have 10 different personalities that you project for different places at different times, and somebody turns a camera on and says, "Hey, let's talk about some stuff."
Right.
Are you going to feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Oh, you will.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm just yowling because I like what you're saying.
But you get what I'm saying. You're not going to feel comfortable if you have 10
Right.
different faces, and then you're like, "Oh my God, is my family going to
Who
see
is
this?
who
Are my
do I
friends
get
going
to
to
see
see this?
Yeah.
I don't know. How do I mesh all my different personalities into one?"
I think you just have to do this. I think you just have to go fuck shit, damn Jesus, and then say, "Look, I'm all of those things." I'm the scariest person you ever met. I'm going to smoke a cigarette, you know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you that I'm a Jesus freak. You see what I'm saying? And you're going to have to deal with all of that, because if I don't take all of those fractures and pull them all together, then I am, like you said, I'm impotent and I'm not dangerous.
Yes.
If I'm not dangerous, I'm not living what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be a scary motherfucker.
Yeah.
Here's why. I reach out to that extreme and I will go all the way dragon. And there's nobody that can coo a child that's crying like me. I'm as soft as a lamb over here. When my niece is crying, they give her to me. There's nobody as fierce as me over there. Now I'm just saying that as far as in my mind is concerned. Why? Because I'm refusing to be all of those things individually. I'm gonna just be all of them.
Well, right. Well, and that's the thing. If you don't integrate, if you don't come to the understanding that you have sharp nails, sharp teeth, potent fists. If you don't come to the understanding that you can be dangerous, if you let yourself get out of control and let's say you whatever, go off the deep end, start doing drugs, get real broke, get real hungry, then you have to understand that like you can be a danger to other people and yourself.
You absolutely can.
And then the people that don't ever integrate, that they have this false reality of who they are and who humans are, and they have this facade up, or maybe multiple facades, or Japanese say 3, but I would argue that today 3 would be on the low end for the majority of people, just because of, I mean, I know people that have Ferraris and Corvettes and fancy homes on their Instagram, but they live in a tiny rental.
That's something.
So they have a totally different face that is
completely different persona.
Yeah,
and you have to be unafraid to be not liked.
Right.
I talked to this guy the other day who wrote something on my Facebook page, and he wrote something really insulting, and it was on my fan page. I picked up the phone and called him. Said, "Hey, is this so and so from Shoto Force Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "You said something real ugly on my page and it hurt my feelings. Why would you say that?"
And what was his retort?
Well, so what he did is he showed one of his faces. And he got real angry with me and called me all kinds of names. And if you'll go and look at Shoto Force, guess what he's doing? He's teaching children with his other face. Right? Now let me tell you what he's not. He's not dangerous. He's a monochrome. The guy has one color. He's completely lost his blooming mind. He's MMA. He's not balanced. That's the thing with MMA. It's so tunnel vision. It's just not balanced. Look at Bruce Lee. What was he? He was as soft as you could get, and he was as ferocious as you could get. The thing about Bruce Lee is what that does is it is the yin and the yang, Sean.
Right.
If you don't push that, if you can't break glass, you see what I'm saying? You'll never come back to center.
Also, the important thing to remember about the yin and yang that everybody forgets is the glob. Do you know what the glob is?
I don't know.
So you know how in the yin and yang symbol, how there's you got your white side, you got your black side, and then in the white you have a black glob, and then in the black you have a white glob.
Yeah.
The point of that is too much of
either one is a problem.
Is a negative.
Is a problem.
Too much empathy is a problem.
You have to hang a lot of weight over there to balance out a lot of weight over here. I think that's more accurate. Go sit with a horse, an unbelievable athletic horse, and spend a lot of time getting to know that horse. That thing can kill you dead.
And it knows it.
And it knows it.
Yeah.
It's as powerful as, and I mean, it is way out there on that far extreme, but there's nothing sweeter and kinder than time with that horse. That's the balance. If you decide, I'm going to become a trained killer, and you don't balance that out.
Right.
I mean, whoa. That's why Shoto Force cussed me out over the phone for questioning him. I said, "You hurt my feelings." That's what I said to him. And he began to elevate and began to get really, really ugly with me. And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, maybe I'll just come visit you. Maybe I'll just come down and we'll have a conversation.
How did he handle that?
He loved it. He started screaming and yelling and I said, "Oh, there he is. There's who he is. Thank you so much for showing me your true colors. I appreciate it." He doesn't have the other side. The other side is a facade because he's not balanced. every face that you show, to your point, is a face that you are putting on. It's actually a mask. Oh, if I do this and I'm this way with my boss, I fear that I will get fired. If I'm this way with somebody else, I fear that they won't like me. You know what I'm saying? And
right, but you're saying that's a mask, right? But once you're integrated and you understand that you can be dangerous and you understand that you can be kind and that you get to cultivate who you want to be and how you want to be in this world. But knowing, always having an eye on the fact that you can be a monster as well.
Yeah, I am a monster. I mean, that's all there is to it. You know what I mean? There's nothing safe about who I am. And I've given up on the fact that I have the ability to contain who I am in a situation. Now, I sit and I meditate and I pray and I read because I want to be a soft, gentle, kind, humble man. I want to entreat people kindly. I want to be that guy, but I want it to come from a place of power, not from a place of false humility. You know, where I'm walking around on eggshells.
Right.
You know, I'm just not gonna. I can't do that anymore. You know, because what that'll do, that'll eventually wind the guy up. You know, so tight that he will lose his pizza.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're the type of person that won't say shit if you have a mouth full of it,
I mean,
then eventually, you know, you snap on something mundane.
Right.
You know, this is, you know, I mean, yeah, you know, like where somebody loses their mind and shakes a baby or shakes a puppy. You know what I mean? They're just so wound up because they haven't integrated themselves. Yeah. So, you know, just to circle back briefly, I think to point out how many times in the Bible that they say, "Do not be afraid," but you mustn't be afraid. It really hammers home the disease that they're trying to spray. And I hate to say the word "they." The disease that the Mockingbird-controlled media has sprayed upon humanity since its inception, you know, which goes back to the 1940s, television. Right. CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, Fox, NPR.
Did you know that if you turn that shit off for 60 days, you won't care anymore?
I mean,
you'll actually not care.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot. I understand what you're saying, how you would not care. Well, and then also think about all the fear porn, even if or fear corn, you can't say that. Fear corn.
Did you say fear porn?
Yeah, but you
can't say that.
That's a word you're not allowed to say on some
a podcast.
On some platforms.
PORN. We can't say.
We can say corn though.
Corn.
We're talking about corn.
Okay.
Don't misunderstand what we're talking about here.
All right.
But yeah, that's through the Mockingbird media. That's why they always lead, you know, if it bleeds, it leads. There's always something, some kind of chaos happening, you know, because they want everybody to be afraid.
Well, so
and then so many people are now watching true crime. I mean, how many women do you know that are like in the true crime?
It's making people monsters
without being afraid.
It's so gross. It's making people monsters. Think about how quickly you can change the shape of your brain. Think about the neuroplastic side of your brain. Now think about how long you've been practicing various and sundry activities. If you can form a habit in 52 days and you've been doing something religiously for 152 days or 7 years, you've become a neuroplastic monster. Your brain is actually now malformed. And so if I want to sit down with somebody with a malformed brain who practices lies, who literally bathes in lies, who doesn't meditate, who doesn't have the ability to be still, who doesn't practice in their 99th percentile, a gentle sort of pastoral feeling. I am out with the cows. I am doing nothing. I am working with my hands. Because that's the place where the mind begins to free itself in that same habitual sort of I'm going to form new habits. You know, new neuroplastic habits that are going to shape my brain into something that is very, very God-given and natural. The brain can restore itself, but what does it require? It requires, being barefooted on the earth. It requires hugging the ground. It requires planting. It requires all of the sort of things that are absolutely opposite to what's industrial. A guy looked at me today and he said, "You're semi-retired?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh man, I wish I could do that." I said, "Don't get me wrong, I can go make some money." but I can lose my life doing it.
Mm.
And he said, whoa. I mean, I get to live life because I choose to work about half the time. You know, I get to sit out and become something in the grass and in the flowers, you know, in amongst the trees with a dog and a horse and a cow. I get to become something. And the subtext of that becoming, when I walk into a room, I am different than everybody in there. And they know it. They absolutely know it. When I meet people and I go do a job for somebody, they go, what's going on with you? It's not because I'm something. It's because my body has changed. My brain has changed to a place that is very, very natural, very, very different than gosh, what am I trying to say? Than the fractured brain, which has learned so many awful lessons, and now it's become this monstrous thing that doesn't have the ability to sit across from me and even reason. There is no table of reason when it comes to fear-mongering. I can sit down and I can talk about the way things would be gentle and kind and wonderful and patient, you know, if one might just, you know, consider the lilies, for crying out loud, you know? But that's not even a conversation.
Well, it's like, you know, you say you can't have a discussion with someone who's programmed because you're talking to a television. And
You're talking to something that's completely
doesn't
warped.
talk back.
It's warped.
Or you're talking to
Yeah.
whatever media they watch.
Yeah.
So they're not talking back. They're regurgitating talking points at you
Right.
because they don't know who they are.
Right.
Because they've never taken time to integrate the fact that they can be a monster. They can be kind. That's why it's such it's such a potent thing to fragment the population of your country.
Yeah.
To have different faces, to have multiple faces, to not be one face and be integrated. It's such a potent divider of friends because you can't make friends with someone if you don't know yourself,
Absolutely,
and you
yeah.
never get to know yourself if you don't integrate yourself.
Right.
So it's a crazy.
What is that? What is that? Cancel culture or whatever? I don't even know what it is. Somebody said that out loud the other day, and I didn't grow up in a time. You know, when I was in college and you know, and in grad school, I collected people like yourself who told me that my shit stank. I want those people in my life.
I told you that your shit stank.
No, you didn't. I'm just saying I collected people that disagreed with me. I want people that don't believe like I believe, because what does it do? It makes me it challenges me. You know, but now it's, you know, say, oh no, you're not with us. You know, we're these sort of like-minded robots. You know, they're sort of walking in unison together, and if you don't agree with what we agree with, you're out. Man, you're missing the greatest party you've ever been to in your life. You know, where you sit around and scream at each other about things. It's
you know, and it doesn't have to go to that point, but that is more fun than just everybody chirping the same.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's a challenge to your psyche and you go, oh my gosh, he poked holes through all of those theories, and now I get to go try again.
When you're riddled in fear and you're programmed,
right,
and somebody gives you some information that challenges your beliefs, that resonates as a truth resonance, meaning that it came through and hit that person as truth, they get shouty, they get angry, and then you can't have a conversation anymore.
Right.
I like to think that I keep it together and I don't get shouty when in these conversations, unless somebody gets shouty with me.
Yeah.
And then I'll generally be like, hey, you're getting real shouty with me.
Yeah.
And then by like the 10th reminder, then I'll say, okay, I'm going to start getting shouty with you just to show you
what that looks like,
what that feels like.
I wasn't talking about shouting. That's not really what I'm saying. Yelling
but
is sort of
fine.
a metaphor.
That's fine. Some people are Italian and need to.
They need to, yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
fine. That's better.
Yeah.
But the point that I wanted to make is how you were mentioning the groups that get together and they're in an echo chamber.
Right.
If you hit them with something that is not in their truth that everyone believes, because they have the everyone in their head that everyone believes, they come apart.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, I ask multiple people who are liberals, who are liberals on varying degrees
Yeah.
of the spectrum to come and have a sit down talk
stop.
with me about
Mhm.
anything. Oh yeah. When it comes on the day, they never show
It's
up.
not going to happen.
They never show up.
So do you know that you can equate fear and hate? They live in the same camp. And what I've discovered is that fear and hate are actually parts of the spirit of murder.
Mm.
People who live conservative lives, who have the ability to sit down without judgment with people from all walks of life, who absolutely know in their hearts that whether these people agree with me or not, I know that God loves them.
Mm.
And so my perspective and my onus is that I will show them the same love and the same respect.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that does is that removes hate.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you camps of people who throw the word hate around.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm seeing is, like for instance, in my neighborhood, there's this movement. Hate is there is no hate. Hate will not be. There is no hate in Sylvan Park. Hate will not be tolerated in Sylvan Park. And I just want to say to these people, that's hateful. What you're saying is Sylvan Park hates haters.
Mm.
That's what you're saying. And so I'm going to print a sign to put in my front yard. That's the exact same font that says Sylvan Park hates haters.
Mm.
Anytime you make a stand against something, either we're going to go to war because there's some sort of righteous cleansing that we're going to have, or we're not going to stand against. We're going to stand with. There's this wonderful composite thing that happens when a person finds God. Right? They arrest the natural tendency, which would be to maybe want to hate somebody. And you go, wait, I'm redeemed. I have to change, so I have to be transformed. I have to renew that part of myself because I want to reach out and go, I can't stand that person, but I don't get to do that. I'm not allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to entertain that in my brain. Because that's not love, Sean.
So one thing in God, source, whatever you want to call it, I generally call it source, because I feel that the people that need to know most about God or source are people that, as soon as you say the G word, they're checked out.
Right.
So I typically use source.
Yeah.
I tend to think that when you connect to source consciousness, when you have someone across from you that is filled with hate or fear, you can relate because you've been there at some point in your life.
Yeah.
So you understand it. So you're not angry at this person for, their misguided beliefs. You're just like, okay, all right, hopefully they get...
Well, it's not like you've arrived either. It's that you're working it out. You're constantly working it out,
It's like I know that I'm the smartest man in the world because I know that I know nothing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, as you become more enlightened, at some point, many people will get to the point where they're like, I got this enlightenment down. And then something smacks you in the face and flips your world upside down. And then after that happens enough times, then you're like, oh, I know that I know nothing about enlightenment as well.
Exactly right.
And now, but you can then detect people that are further along or shorter, or that are in their early days of the path, or have been through it.
I'm still in my early days of the path. I'm 30-something years in, but I'm still early.
That's the way that
this is an endless journey here.
It is endless because we don't have the capability to understand the Creator and the source code of everything. We just don't have the capability, and anyone who says that they does.
Which is why you get still. Because in that still space, if you go back to don't fear, you're not allowed to fear. Source, God, be still and know. In that place, that's where those revelations, that's where they happen. Not by watching C-SPAN, not by watching CNN. That's not revelatory. That actually is competing with the thing that you have learned while you were sitting still by yourself.
And then one thing I want to point out is everybody is stricken with fear.
Yeah, right.
The point is when it enters you, you have to be like, okay, I feel this is fear. and you need to, then you go into the meditation. Then a lot of people, I can't meditate. I
Right.
don't know how to meditate.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Well, just the attempt of doing it is doing it.
Is doing it, yeah, right.
So, I mean, even someone who knows how to meditate, you know, and I mean, I have a gizmo called a muse. And what a muse does is you put it around your head and it monitors your brain waves.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
so it will tell you when you're in a state of meditation.
Oh, how wonderful. That's nice.
Right? And so I know that I know how to do it. I have
Yeah.
the data to back it up, right?
Yeah.
It's not it's kind of something that
Yeah.
you know, just sit there quiet. No, I know what it
Yeah.
feels like because
I do
I've done
too.
the training
Yeah.
with the collecting the data.
Sure.
And I've done it, I've put that thing on my head when I'm going through it, when there's like a major life upsetting events
Yeah.
going on, and I'm looking at that data, and it's showing like 45% meditation in that session. But it also shows something called the corrections. So if I meditated 45% of the time, but I have 500 corrections, that's skill.
That's getting busy. Yeah.
Because then I'm losing the meditation, or I'm losing that control of my mental state,
Right.
but then I'm bouncing back to control, bouncing back to control. When you have nothing going on in your life,
Yeah.
and you're in the middle of nowhere on a trip at an ashram in the middle of the mountains, and you don't have any life stress because you've left it all behind, it's pretty easy to meditate.
Yeah.
When you're in the middle of the thick of it,
Right.
it's about having those corrections. So I just want to say to anybody who's trying to figure this out, that when they sit down and they set a timer and they look at the timer and only a minute has gone by and they're like, I can't do this for 5 minutes. Every one of those corrections, meaning every time that you go back to focusing on the breath or focusing on a mantra and get rid of that fear or get rid of that anger or just center yourself, that is the training. It's not about being able to meditate for hours at a time. It's about the relentless pursuit of re-centering over and over again. And then eventually, you know, whether when life circumstances change, that'll make it easier, or just the practice of constantly re-centering back, then it's easier. And then it's easier, and then you can stay out of mental states that you don't want to be in, that don't behoove you, that don't behoove your current situation.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no reason, you know, to be anxious. You know, there's no reason to be in depression.
Yeah.
Because depression is the state of thinking about things that have already happened. Anxiety is the state of thinking about things that haven't happened. And what's the only thing that actually exists?
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Exactly. So how do you want to feel right now?
Yeah.
You know, if you can't control your mental state, if you can't control what's inside of you, how do you expect to control anything outside of you? And the people that can't control their internal state the most, those are the people that want to control the external the most.
Right.
Because they want to just be able to control something.
Right.
And it's a bizarre thing, but that's, you know, when you get around a really controlling person, you ever been around a really
I'm a really controlling person.
You think
I
so?
feel like I am.
Okay.
I feel like it's something that I work on continually. It's to, is to let go. You know, I mean, I didn't have the easiest childhood. I didn't have the easiest past. You know, I've been through some shit. But I have watched myself. You know, with there's the mirror. You know, the mirror has been my friend. And the conversation is, Josh, you're reaching outside of something that is not yourself because you feel so out of control inside of yourself. And that's been a conversation that I've had with myself quite a lot. You know, I think the tendency for people who are really, 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 really hurt is to go fix things, you know, that are sort of outside of their sphere. For instance, you know, someone who was, you know, I know a lot of people who were abused who have become psychologists. Or, you know, why do I want to become a police officer? Why do I want to, you know, sort of the knee-jerk reaction is to go fix something. But without
turning the attention on themselves.
That's it. Well, most of the time it begins to be a narcissistic endeavor, you know. But the mirror is probably the kindest thing that we have. You talk about meditation. going in. Have you heard Reed Rinpoche talk about going in? He says meditation is not trying to put things out of your mind. He said it's taking the things that are coming in and going all the way into them until they erupt and dissipate. And then the next thing that comes, you go in deep and it erupts and dissipates. And I learned to meditate from that sort of whatever, but the practice, I'm coming back to this mirror idea. You know, most people look at themselves in the mirror, but they don't look at themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Be perfect as I am perfect. That's what Jesus said. You know,
be perfect as
I am perfect. Be perfect. All right. So if we are housing God, if we are housing eternity, then I would imagine that this temple, you know, you've heard it referred to as the temple, should be a work of art. I think that we should probably work on it and make it something lovely and absolutely beautiful. You know, so I like the idea that there's a physical aspect that is first. A friend of mine used to say, first the natural, then that which is spiritual. When you begin to get the natural things in order, the spiritual things begin to sort of come along. You know, like never trust a fat preacher. You know.
Well, right, and one of the things is your body can influence your mind. Your mind can influence your body. And if one is not operating right, the other one is not.
So you look in the mirror and you tell yourself the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And when you begin to do that physically, you begin to physically tell yourself the truth. You will begin to mentally tell yourself the truth. You will begin to take things that you don't want to be a part of you. For instance, hey, you will go, I'm not going to take that. I'm going to get that out. And you're actually going to tell yourself the truth. I am full of a lot of hate right now. Or I'm full of a lot of whatever. You're not going to sit there and rationalize. You know, I'm rationalizing this and rationalizing. I think this whole process is looking at a speed sign that says 50 miles an hour and saying that doesn't apply to me. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you've lied to yourself so far down the road that it's all just one big wall of compromise. The only way to get out of that cycle is to look in the mirror and absolutely tell yourself the truth.
Yeah, and you know the majority of people can't go 15 minutes without telling themselves or telling someone else a lie.
Right.
And that's because you have to be in a constant state of lying if you have multiple faces.
This is not me being hard on them either. I have a lot of compassion for that because I absolutely understand.
This is me being hard on myself.
Yeah, sure.
Because anybody that's come through the culture that we grew up in has had to integrate. We're purposely, the propagandists purposely try to fragment us. For example, women's ridiculous beauty standards. Who they put on the magazines for years and years would be the specific body type that's of most difficult to obtain. You know, whether it, you know, was the rail skinny one or the absolutely crazy curvy one, that the extremes of difficulty to get, because then they can maximally hurt people because they don't look like that.
Right.
And you know, life gets in the way sometimes for achieving these unrealistic things.
I saw a man the other day that had calf injections, that was wearing short shorts, that was running over by Target, you know, and I just went, God bless him. You've got to be kidding me. It's a lie.
Right.
The gals with the, you know, with the eyebrows, you know, that's so, it's disgusting to me. The lips. What the hell are you doing? It's plastic tits. We get butt injections now. We've got calf injections. It's all a lie.
Right. Yeah.
It's all just a lie. You know what I want? I want truth, man. I'm a 50-year-old single man, right? And you know what I've come to realize? I don't want anything if it doesn't tell the truth.
You know, people say you have the face you deserve at 50.
Yeah.
Or you have the face you deserve at 60.
I don't know that they say that. I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
anyway,
because,
I love it.
Because that's your life experience.
Yeah.
That's how you treated yourself for your whole life.
Right. Right.
You know, that's the pains that you went through, the
Yeah.
joys, the smile lines, the
Yeah.
crow's feet, all of that is from, you know, you have what you deserve. But the one thing that I wanted to touch on is circling back about 5 minutes ago. One thing about finding the present moment that needs to be acknowledged is when you have truly found the present moment, you also experience the emotions of the present moment. So a real easy thing to do is to get out of the present moment, to be anxious about going to an event, to be anxious about going to a bar. People get anxious to go to a bar. So they give themselves a bunch of liquid courage. They got to have 3, 4, 5 drinks even before they walk into the bar because they're anxious about being in the bar. So now why be anxious about being in the bar? Well, you know, it would be a lot more uncomfortable, would be to feel all of your feelings in the bar. If you're feeling all of the feelings that you have, or let's say you're an empath, and you're feeling the majority of the people's feelings in the bar that you're in as well, because you're an empath, you have a swirl of emotions going through you now. So it's a lot easier to be in anxiety than to be in the present moment and have to absorb all of those feelings which come with the present moment.
Goodness.
So a lot of people avoid the present moment to avoid feeling.
If you've you know, cutters, you know, they cut to feel.
Yeah. I'm listening to you.
Small talk. Small talk, I think, is rooted in I don't want to feel.
Yeah. How about those Titans? How about let's talk about sports?
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah.
You see the new Chevy? The new Chevy coming out? Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
A gal came to my house the other day that I'd never met before. And
Came to your house?
No, she was with a friend. She asked to use my restroom, and then she came out, and we were starting a conversation. The conversation got real very quickly.
That can happen.
And she was everything that she would say was a quip. It was not rooted in sincerity. It wasn't rooted in I heard what you said. I'm going to consider it. I'm going to take it and garble it. Talk about words losing power. Garble actually means to sift. If you go way, way, way deep, all of the words have been changed. We can talk about that later. You know, to make them impotent. But if you actually sift a conversation, right, and you're not sitting there thinking about what you're going to say, right, and I looked at her and I just sort of called her out, and she said, well, I can talk if I want. I said, you're in my house. I can throw your ass out of here. She looked at me, this gal that is my friend, went, holy crap, this just got real. And I said, do you want to have a conversation? Yeah. Or do you want to just react? Because that's all you're doing, is just reacting.
So did you...
We broke through. The gal gave me a hug at the end of a conversation, but it was really, really uncomfortable.
Right.
And a feeling in the present, feeling those things. The thing that was uncomfortable for me was not to pretend that they weren't there. It was to not address them.
Well, then, but also let's acknowledge too, like, at least for me, I'm not going to project on you. At least for me, when I've been in situations like that, sometimes I'll be like, do I really want to call this person out right now? Because it's going to... I'm fine with being in the uncomfortable. But there's half a dozen people in this room, or a dozen people in this room that are not comfortable in the uncomfortable. So do I want to spray?
Yeah, but spraying and doing are two different things, and I'm going to tell you what happened. I didn't consider it. Bruce said what? Bruce said it hits by itself, right? Meaning I didn't go, oh, now I will hit. This thing worked because I sensed something, and therefore it operated. Don't worry about what you're going to say in the moment. I will give you the words in the moment. When my mouth is shut, in a situation, I know I was supposed to say nothing. I don't get to go back and do it.
No. But what I'm saying is just like when you can feel like, you know, extreme anger coming in.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
and then
Sure.
and then you can be like, okay, what this person did was inappropriate. It does deserve anger, but, you know, do I want to?
There was no anger in it, is what I'm saying. It was
Right.
truly
No,
just, yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but I'm using that as a for example.
If there's anger in
just
it,
saying
I'm
there
probably
are-
going to say nothing.
There are times
Yeah.
where the punch,
That's where I
the
keep my
verbal
mouth
punch
shut.
has to be pulled.
That's
or
where
the
I
punch
keep
has to be
that's where I keep my mouth shut.
So, anyway, what I'm trying to say is that this is why we need strong men, because a mealy-mouthed beta, even if he's thinking, ooh, like somebody really needs to tell her to, he's not gonna say anything.
But you're. I think, Sean, what you're not hearing what I'm saying when I'm talking about talking.
Mm-hmm.
There's a spirit that comes on. You want to talk about an alpha or a beta or whoever. The earth is groaning. It says in the Old Testament, the earth is groaning, crying out for fully matured sons of God.
Right.
People who absolutely sit and bathe in spirit and life and in truth.
Mm.
And unless that overwhelming thing comes over them, and I don't remember what I said to this girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's how potent it was. It had nothing to do with me. It came through me.
Right.
Now, if suddenly have all these emotions and I'm angry and I'm da-da-da-da-da, words are not going to formulate. They're not going to come, and it's absolutely the wrong time for me to speak. You know,
Right.
so it's two different moments.
It is.
You know what I mean?
I was using
Yeah.
emotion as a time where you would hold back. All I'm saying
Right.
is that I have had those moments where, okay, this person said this, now this has come to me. As soon as I say this is going to upset the room.
Right.
And then I think to myself, does this really need to be said? And unfortunately, the deeper you dive into truth and the deeper you dive down this road,
Yeah.
the answer is usually yes, it does. And then I'm uncomfortable in the uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but then I recognize that sprays the room with an uncomfortable vibe.
That is, and you will be outed. You will be an outcast. You will be all of these. Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
it depends how many people are in the room
Right.
that will perhaps. But the thing is, just like you ended up hugging it out with her, given the opportunity to finish, that is the end result. The
Right.
majority of the time.
She didn't run away from it. Yeah, I was
Right.
proud of her for
But
that.
now, if there had been
Right.
a dozen people there, and 10 of them had said, "Hey, that's mean,
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah.
You can't," and then they're up, and
Yeah.
then you can't finish your
Right.
conversation.
Right.
Then she leaves thinking you're an asshole.
Right.
And then
But I am an asshole, Sean.
What? I know you. You don't have to let me know.
Let's just get there.
No, but the problem is that truth is often
It's an asshole.
Right, it's an asshole.
It's just what assholes do.
Right.
And you know, my best friend Jamie Hancock he's in Israel. He's there with his family. He's been studying at Hebrew University, and they're going to stay there. Jamie named his kid after me, and he said that his dad said to him, he said, "You're going to meet a guy in the university, and he's going to be the guy that you're going to name your son after." And so he named his kid Joshua, and I begged him. I said, "Don't you dare name your kid after me. Yes, don't you dare. It's going to be a problem for you if you do." So Jamie was just here for a conference because of all the stuff going on in Israel and whatever. They did a big conference here, and he came, and he's a reporter and writes press. An amazing writer. And so we spent some time together, and he reminded me of this time that I walked up in the middle of a crowd of religious majors at college. I don't remember it. I mean, if I do, I only remember it from maybe a story or
From
me
him
trying to figure out or whatever. And he says that I walked up in the middle of a group of 10 guys and him and stuck my finger into the middle of his chest and chewed him out.
Mm.
And I walked away.
Mhm.
And of course, you know, he says that the 10 guys said, I can't believe Josh Payne would do that.
Mm.
And Jamie looked at me. We're sitting in this bar. He looked at me and he had tears in his eyes. And he said, do you know what I told them? He said, I told them, I've been begging you guys to be that for me for 4 years.
Mm.
Josh Payne is the only guy who gets it done. Now,
Well-
I mean, it hurts me to think, you know what I mean?
Mm.
But I tell you what, I'm glad of it. I'm glad of it. If I am a blunt sword, you know what I mean, that gets used and it makes a difference, then I'm really, really glad of it. But there's no Mr. Nice Guy inside of me, Sean.
Well,
It doesn't exist.
that's why I was pointing out the mealy mouth beta.
Yeah.
You know, that's not helpful. That's not getting things done. That's not broaching difficult conversations. That's an impotent person. You know, that's there's no teeth. You know, there's not a help to society or to the friend group. If you can predict what that person is going to do and say,
Yeah.
it's a wet blanket.
All right.
What's a wet blanket good
Right.
for?
Right, that's nothing. It'll make you cold and give you the flu. Or
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. And that's exactly what a wet blanket
Right.
person is.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, you know, and that's why his son is named after you.
Well, the thing about it is when you recognize that that's what you are,
Mm-hmm.
you'd have to do a lot of work so that you're not that full time. You know what I mean? You don't pull the gun out and shoot all the time. You carry the gun.
That's what
and
I was-
it's not loaded.
before.
It's not loaded. You know what I mean?
That's what I was saying before with the
Yeah.
you know, you don't always, even though those words have come to you that this person needs to hear this, you know, it sometimes will echo in your head, like, I need to say this, I need to say this, I need to say this, and then, you know, sometimes you have to pull it because you don't
Right.
want to spray that energy.
If I know what I'm gonna say ahead of time and I can start premeditating, you know what I do? I turn around and go the other way.
Well, right.
Because it has to do with me and my psyche at that point.
Not the premeditation. I'm
It's just
talking
like-
about that urge when you're like,
when you know you gotta go.
when you know that you're gonna tell
Here we
that,
go.
when you know
Yeah.
that you're gonna, what you want to say to that person is gonna be tough medicine.
Yeah. Right.
And you don't have the words. You just know, and then at least I'm just saying, as I've gone further down this path, right, I'm less and less likely to not say it. because no, once you integrate and you're
Yeah.
one face,
Right.
and then you're saying the truth everywhere you
Yeah.
go,
Right.
then it just comes out of you. It's like, for example, every time I see somebody with a mask on, I can't help but say thanks for keeping us safe. Because if they're actually sick,
Yeah.
thanks for keeping us safe.
Sure.
If it's an ideological thing,
Uh-huh.
they get to feel good about
Sure.
keeping us
I'm
safe.
so happy.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Thanks for keeping us safe.
I didn't mean to laugh and show my true colors.
But look, it is also funny to me. Because sometimes you see them and you're like, they're not sick. This is an ideological thing. They haven't put it together. But so it is funny at the same time. I agree with you. But I passed by somebody the other day, and I said, "Thanks for keeping us safe." And then they said, "You're welcome."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh,
That's it. That's it.
yeah, it's good." So it was good for everybody in that moment.
I saw a gal
And then
walking
if-
through the neighborhood who had a mask on. Well, and maybe I thought she was probably protecting herself from the pollen. I had no idea, but I couldn't.
Right.
I couldn't figure the logic. But if I'd been armed with that piece of information, I would have said, "Thank you for keeping us safe." I appreciate that a lot.
And when that person said you're welcome,
Yeah.
that's cool. They really believe in that.
Yeah.
But now if you say thanks for keeping us safe and they get angry at you,
Yeah.
then you know that they're lying to themselves. They know the truth. They're wearing it to be part of the group.
It's kind of a weapon. You've armed yourself.
Thanks for keeping us safe.
Right?
It's useful.
Yeah.
But so there's so many things like that you can do, you know, for when it's not like you get a specific word. It's when you have that feeling of I need to say something about this right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's interesting. I do truly believe that comes from being integrated or being further down the path of being integrated, of, you know, accepting, you know, your faults, knowing your faults, trying to do better in those faults. But the point is, you're looking at yourself in the eye and you're telling yourself the truth. And when you start doing that, then you have to start telling the others the truth.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And then
that's right.
That's a ripple effect that goes through the whole cosmos.
Well, you're keeping your mind from becoming warped.
Right.
From becoming demented. And it's such an important thing to understand that if you lock on to a piece of information, like they say, a homeless guy, you can't get him off the street after 3 months because exponentially after 3 months, the mind he's established himself to this ideology.
You know, another example of that too is somebody on the street doing heroin.
Okay.
They know they're a junkie, right? But somebody, you know, in the suburbs with their girlfriend, popping Oxycontins. I got this from my doctor. This is from my doctor. I'm not a junkie. I got this bottle of pills from my doctor.
Something else.
It's 100 times more powerful than heroin.
It's something else.
But so it's the mindset too.
Yeah. Okay.
Another
the
thing
benzo mindset. The whole. I mean that whole.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
makes me sick. It just absolutely makes me sick.
From my doctor.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It's not drugs.
And the same doctor is
like,
creating fear, creating this fear rationale for why you have to be very, very careful getting off of this thing.
Right. But it's not a
No.
drug. It's not a dangerous thing that you just have to wean yourself off over many months, sometimes multiple years. Jordan Peterson ended up in a coma coming off of benzo.
Wow, man.
Yeah. I mean, they scramble up your brain. I've had a front row seat, not personally, but
I had no idea. So what I just said, that was out of turn. I shouldn't have said that.
What?
I had no idea that you actually had to be really, really careful coming off the benzos.
Oh no, not me. Jordan Peterson.
No, I mean not you, but that you actually have to be really, really careful.
There's 2 drugs that can kill you if you quit them cold turkey. There's only 2.
Okay.
You know what the other one is? Benzos is one.
Okay.
You know what the other one is?
No.
No? Alcohol.
Ah.
Alcohol and benzos hit the same receptors in the brain.
Wow.
And those are the only 2 that you cannot quit cold turkey.
You have to kind of methadone yourself off of the...
Well, not methadone.
No, I mean, that's...
You have to wean yourself off.
The only reason I say methadone is because that's, like babies, when they give babies the methadone after they might get it. So.
But you can actually quit heroin and opiates cold turkey
Immediately.
and not die. You'll get sick.
Yeah.
The reason why people don't do it cold turkey is to not get sick.
Wow.
But benzos and alcohol can kill you. Amy Winehouse died from quitting alcohol, not from drinking. It's because it disrupts the GABA production in your brain.
Mm.
And if there's not enough GABA in your brain, the neurons connect at too high of a speed, and that can cause a seizure.
Crap.
And then you die.
Wow.
So that's benzos or alcohol. Which actually, this is a great segue into...
I need to go get a drink, I think.
No, that's a great segue. So I brought you a bottle of Regenerate.
The next.
Some time ago. Did you experiment at all?
I am experimenting with it. I am.
Still using it?
Every other day I'll take a pinch and put it in my tea, and I do notice a difference. But my tolerance is... I'm half a tablespoon probably, or maybe half a teaspoon is probably more accurate. If I get up into a teaspoon, I really, really feel like I'm on fire. And of course, that's the niacin flush.
And that's why it's a powder and not a pill.
Yeah.
Because the different doses for different people vastly change.
Yeah. I'll get to where I can take more. You know what I mean? And I've sort of been working my way up. Of course, you remember I hit it really hard when you first gave it to me, and I called you, and I was like, "Holy moly, what did I just do to myself?" You know?
Yeah.
But I was glad to know that it was. Well, I mean, I've had a niacin flush before, you know,
Yeah.
with a cleanse, so I mean, I knew what that part was. But
Right.
yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Yes. So I don't know if you. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but so when you take it, you said a half a teaspoon,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do you notice?
It's kind of like a storm coat, to be honest with you.
A storm coat.
You know, you put on a dog before a thunderstorm. You know,
Put on a dog.
you put it on a dog, a thunder coat.
Oh,
you know, before
okay,
you know.
okay.
It's kind of like a thunder coat for alcohol.
Ah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know, so if I'll, you know, I've been trying to quit drinking for a while, and
Mhm.
and I've been kind of staring down the barrel of that. Of course, you know what happened to me this past year. You know, when I was poisoned, and part of the cure for that was to flush my system of that
Mhm.
of that poison, and that was an alcohol flush. I had to do it 3 times.
Mm.
And so I woke up and I was chemically dependent, and so I had to sort of begin the cycle of weaning myself
Mhm.
off of what actually saved my life.
And one of the things, though, that I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think that this is so important
Yeah.
because nobody talks about it. People very rarely talk about alcohol dependency.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing what that feels like?
Yeah. So if you don't have a drink, you feel like you will die, and you've explained that. I've never heard that explanation before, but if you feel like you're going to die.
Mm.
And so, you know, I knew that I was going to have to sort of start weaning myself off of this, that it wasn't going to be white knuckle this thing, you know.
Mm.
And so over the course of several months, you know, I began to kind of wean myself off, and you know, I'm down to you know, a 6-pack a week, which is really, really good.
Mhm.
You know, but yeah, man, I sympathize with people who it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And before I took the first treatment, and it was do the alcohol cleanse or die. I mean, I was literally seized up. My kidneys were done. And I knew that I was going to wake up and I was going to be dependent on alcohol. I knew that I was going to wake up, and like I say, I had to do the cleanse 3 times. And so I woke up with this thing that I never knew before, which was, oh my gosh, if I don't have a drink, I'm going to die.
Would you call it anxiety?
I know what anxiety feels like. This is not anxiety. The thing that you described, which is the brain sending a lot of feed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fractious is probably a good word, but it almost feels like there are 50 radio stations playing in my brain at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And you only have 2 hands and 2 feet.
You know, just incredible how awful that feels.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know,
and you know a drink will stop.
it stops it immediately.
Yeah.
It stops it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, regenerate. You take the half a teaspoon, or the times that you took it, where it flushed you.
Yeah,
what did it do to that?
Well, it seems to calm that fractiousness in the brain. It seems to it lets me get my breath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, lets me. It gives me an opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I
Does that make any sense?
For sure. I think it gives you a wedge.
Yeah.
I think it's enough of a
Yeah.
wedge to be like,
Yeah.
really want that drink?
Yeah.
Well, not going to happen.
Right.
And the other thing I would tell you is that you can divide it into, half teaspoon,
Yeah.
and then 2-3 hours
Right,
later
right.
do another half teaspoon
Right.
if you're getting too much
Yeah.
flush,
Right.
and then that can knock down.
I've got it to where I'm not getting much flush at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's literally just the tip of a spoon, and I drop that into my tea.
Right.
And and so it's good. I sleep better. It's pretty incredible to think. Speaking of fear,
Mm-hmm.
to know what I was going through many months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and to compare it to what is going on now. I drank more than I'm drinking now way before this went down.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this shift in my brain that looks at alcohol so differently.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look at it like this. I mean, we would have 3 bottles of wine a week. I'd have a 6-pack of beer, on a Saturday. If I was mowing the yard, I'd have another 6-pack of beer. That was normal.
Mm-hmm.
That was normal living.
Mm-hmm.
I don't drink nearly that much now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going, hey man, this is not the way I want to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I have, it's maybe a holy fear, kind of a reverence to what's, it's a mirror, it's looking in the mirror. It's a hard look in the mirror,
And another thing I want to point out about the GABA stuff,
Yeah.
which Regenerate has a ton of GABA.
Yeah.
GABA is produced in the gut and then rides
Okay.
the vagus nerve up
Okay.
into your brain.
Okay.
So as you get older,
Uh-huh.
your body just doesn't make as much GABA.
Okay.
So then, even if you have your same drinking habits,
Mhm.
as you get older, you're going to be more and more and more deficient in
Deficient
GABA
in
with the
GABA,
same
right,
amount
with
of
the same
alcohol,
amount of alcohol. Right.
which is why it's not a
It's a
sustainable.
paradigm, absolutely.
Right, it's
Yeah.
not sustainable.
Yeah.
Um,
I know I'm getting there. I know I'm getting to the place where, just mentally, physically, I did a 6-day alcohol fast just this last week, and just to kind of monitor and see, and I had a breakdown.
Really?
I had a breakdown, and it was something that went on that was relational. It was very, very emotional for me, familial, and
were you regenerating or not regenerating?
I wasn't doing anything. I was fasting. I was just doing nothing. I was drinking tea, but I was doing absolutely nothing. I wasn't taking any vitamins, so I wasn't doing anything. I was trying to cleanse my colon, trying to get my body clean.
Mm-hmm.
And I had something happen, and the first thing I wanted was a drink. And so I didn't go get a drink because I was in some sort of cycle like I've experienced before,
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like I'm gonna die. I just wanted to get a drink because I was angry and sad.
Mm-hmm.
And so that started me back on this last little stint of drinking. And alcohol's a great comfort, man. It's a great friend, and I think it probably is the last piece of staring in the mirror that I really, really need to do in order to kind of transcend into another area of my life, and I need to talk about it more. I can't do a session. I can't go to AA. I'm not going to stand there and say I'm an alcoholic. I'm not going to do that because I think those messages are incorrect for me, But I am going to look in the mirror and I am going to tell myself the truth,
Well, right, but yeah, because why would you identify as an alcoholic?
I can't. Yeah.
Right, because that's you're not an identity anyway.
I'm not gonna walk down that road. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not gonna cast my hopes on a medallion and lose my shit if I suddenly fall off the wagon. I just can't. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to live that life. And so my roommate he's 139 days without a drop, and he's on a mission. And I think he thinks he's done with it, like completely. He's really and truly thinks he's done with alcohol. I met a gal the other day that was a bartender downtown, and she said this wonderful thing. She said, I think that alcohol in 10 years is going to be like cigarettes. It's going to be a nuisance drug that nobody is going to want anything to do with. And
I think that she's right. If
Yeah.
it wasn't for the amount of marketing and the amount of just how much money alcohol
absolutely.
makes. So, but if it were just up to the people, I would agree with her. And the other thing to point out too is, as far as cancer causing, there's nothing worse than alcohol.
Than alcohol.
I mean, drinking and smoking goes together for a lot of people. It's the alcohol that's putting them 6 feet under, not the cigarettes. I'm not saying cigarettes are good for you. I'm just saying on the spectrum, alcohol is much worse. Alcohol is a 3-day hangover.
Right.
There was the University of Alabama did a test with trained athletes, meaning 18 to 22, prime of their life, and their physical capacity was diminished at the minimum for 3 days.
Wow.
18 to 22.
Isn't that something?
Now let's think about when you're in your 40s like myself, or early 50s like yourself. 3 days would be generous.
Yeah. No, it took me 6 days just to get my head clear.
Right.
And I know that that's real.
Right.
You know?
And then how much to get the body
after that? Yeah, 6 years probably.
I mean, I don't know about.
I have a buddy that said he quit drinking, and he was telling me about the whole process, and he said something strange happened on year 6. He said it was 6 years, and he said the world just went boom and opened up. He said I can't describe it to you, but 6 years without alcohol, he said something miraculous happened.
Well, it's 7 years. Every cell in your body is replaced. So you're actually only 7 years old.
Right.
I'm only 7 years old.
You can grow a new stomach in 7 days,
Right.
So
Bones are 7 years.
right.
So literally everything is renewed after 7. So I'm not surprised that he said 6, because he's cycled out everything but some bone.
Right.
That's the only bit of him that was built with alcohol in his
Isn't that
system
something?
at
It's
6
incredible. Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah, so you're 7 years old.
Yeah.
That's it. Everybody's only 7 years old.
I'm 50, by the way.
Well, you're 7.
No.
The oldest part of you is
No,
7.
you said I'm in my early 50s. I'm not going to accept that.
Oh, you're 15. I'm sorry. 15. Yeah. 15.
All the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm 50.
Yeah.
So I will say what the hell
Yeah.
ever I want to say.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're more fit than like the majority of 20.
I can wear my high school jeans.
Yeah. I still have.
And you know why? The mirror.
Yeah. I still have
It
jeans
tells the truth.
from when I was 18.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I will tell you that my ass is beginning to go away, which is weird.
That's
It's,
yeah.
I didn't realize how much heat you store in your butt. I couldn't handle winter this year.
Really?
It was it was because I didn't have an ass.
Mm.
You know?
Brown fat. It's
Brown
fat.
brown fat, that you store in your skin.
organs.
Yeah, that's in your organs. I guess it probably
Yeah.
have a lot in your butt. I don't know.
Maybe. But or just that you're getting slimmer.
Yeah.
Or I mean, a lot of people get slimmer as they get older.
Right. I'm gonna start fighting that though. I'm about to get on it. I mean, I'm an athlete, for crying out loud. So I need to start acting like an athlete.
Mm.
I did this thing in 2014 that was really, really cool, where I started making a list of things that I was. Josh, what are you? No, what are you? What are your gifts? What are your natural proclivities? What is your propensity?
Mm-hmm.
And I began to just make a list. And I woke up one day and I said, I'm an athlete. I'm an athlete. I'm a world-class athlete. God made me a world-class athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I know that about myself. And so I went, I'm going to go act like an athlete. And so that needs to be on my, my vision board. I need to act like an athlete. I am a singer. I need to act like a singer. I need to work out every single day like a singer. I'm a great cook. I need to cook wonderful food, etc.
So,
I'm an alcoholic, but I don't drink. No, I'm not doing that.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm
That's
saying?
what I'm saying. You don't.
What?
That's the only thing.
I'm not
that's
doing
the
that.
only complaint that I have on Alcoholics Anonymous.
I am not an alcoholic. Therefore, I will not be an alcoholic.
Like, I've considered going to it, not because I have a problem. I haven't drank in years, and I didn't have a problem when I was drinking, right? I didn't have a problem quitting. I didn't even try to quit. It was boring, so I stopped doing it.
Yeah.
But I have considered going to AA just for the community.
Yeah.
But I would refuse that. I would be like, and I do not identify as an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I identify as a human being.
A regenerative, a transformed mind. That's what I identify with. Something that's ever changing and ever growing and becoming better and better and better and better and better.
Or just becoming more and more connected, not changing, becoming more and more connected.
Well, I mean, Schleffen skin, Schleffen cells, fighting gravity.
Fighting gravity, exactly. So speaking of music, I mean, I didn't put this on you, but I didn't mention this to you before you came over and agreed to do this. But if you do, I mean, I do have a pretty sweet Les Paul that I just got in. If you want to plug in and
let me hear it
and play something.
Let me hear it.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
All right, here, I'll grab it.
Yeah.
I also have a F hole, but the F hole.
Is this the guitar you were telling me about?
Yeah.
This one?
Well, the F hole though needs to be tuned up. It's buzzing just a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But I still like the way the F hole sounds better. But here, if you want.
Oh, look at that thing.
If you wanna.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Play something. You can plug in right there too.
Thank you. Wow, that's really nice.
I'll warm this thing up just in case you want it.
What is this on the back here?
Point it up to
This little thing.
That's a good question. I don't know. But I can tell you this right here is a bender.
Yeah.
So if you.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you got your.
Bends it, yeah.
There's two different bendable strings. You're gonna go for her.
Oh, hi, Egg. Sorry I didn't see you.
We'll move her out of the way. That's Beatrice. Gotta put this one. But yes, I mean, you don't have to play anything if you don't want to. But if you do want to,
just happy with
the tuner is right here. If you wanna.
I won't use a tuner. I'll just figure it out.
Just do it yourself. And then I'll turn that all the way down so you can plug in.
Let's see. Where are we on this thing right
I
there?
think it's on the back.
Right there.
And that cord might be going out, but I did.
Okay.
I have bought a new cord.
Oh, you did?
If it starts screeching at you. There's a guy, his name is escaping me right now, but he has a custom 5-string guitar. You know who I'm talking about? He runs a 5-string guitar with a different tuning. And he says it gives him more room to bend. And the tuning of it is really peculiar, but it allows a lot of chords to be made with just a simple bar.
Oh, cool.
So I was when I watched a podcast on how this guy created this guitar, I was like, I'm gonna get one of those. It looks so much easier to learn a guitar on a 5-string.
He's probably got an open tune also, so that it's probably if you just strum it like this, it's a chord.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The
So
whole
he
thing
can
is
bar the
chord.
whole thing.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But he's not lacking talent. He's
Oh no, I'm
great.
sure he's amazing.
Yeah, he's great. He's even bending it, and then the more room to bend because it's the same width with only 5 strings. So when he's yeah, a lot more space. Yeah, and there's all kinds of knobs on that guitar. I don't know what I even do, and they pull out too.
Wow. Yeah.
And then, of course, you see the lot going on with the guitar. Yeah, so at any rate, if you want to play anything, or if you just want to tinker around and do whatever, it's up to you. I appreciate the chat. It was great. I think we covered a lot of interesting ground. Save this and put it on the Rumble and the YouTube.
Probably lots more to say, you know?
Yeah, do it again, for sure. And then, yeah, last time I was at the Traveling Rodeo, you were playing some stuff with, it was cool. I don't know.
What did I do?
It was, there's a lot of just like gentle picking, and it was, high degree of emotions. I could tell you were playing out emotions out of it. It was like I dug the guitar. I was in it. It was it wasn't picking. It was, I don't know how I would describe it, but it was, you were it was great. It was
Thank you.
I was impressed with your playing.
That traveling rodeo is something we need to talk about more because I want people to come to that thing.
Yeah.
And it'd be fun to have some of those people on your show too.
Oh yeah. And
Thanks for saying that, by the way. I appreciate it.
yeah, and the guitar that you have too, that's an F-hole as well.
Yeah, it's
I love the way
old
that
Hollywood national. Yeah.
I love the way those sound. I got the F-hole over here too. I forget the brand of it, but it's just a little tight, so it buzzes a little bit here and there. I gotta get it to a luthier to have it tuned up. But I think this one plays okay. But I really like the tone of the F-hole. Not playing okay. And then you can switch at the top there, one or both. Yeah, I think on one of those you have the volume way down and then one is up.
I do.
I think that's what's going on. Because when you switch it into both, it barely changes the tone. So flip it up the other way. Okay, so now you have the volume more even, but before.
Got it.
One.
I see it now.
Yeah.
So this controls that, and that controls that.
Yeah, there's a volume.
Now I understand. Very space age. Okay, that's cool. She looked out. She woke up again in the
where she hid me. She crept down to that little place in the quarter. She met Joe there. She was different like a sea breeze. Her hair blew and tossed in some new look. She knew, he knew. She was never going back to Long Island. God and the pomegranates grow on the winsomeness of lovers and the paladino sunshine. And give me an earthquake once in a while, and I'll take the heartbreak of knowing my folks died without me around. Oh, Long Island Sound. Long Island Sound is nice. The cold is hell. The cold is hell. There's a verse and a chorus or something.
Yeah, appreciate it. I appreciate you coming for a chat.
Yeah.
I appreciate you putting your trust in some Regenerate and trying that.
No, it's a necessary thing for my process. It has been a necessary thing, and it was a great gift that you gave me. You know, sort of saying, hey, you gotta try something. I know you're white knuckling trying to get this thing done, and there's nothing in me that wants to experience anything like this ever. You know, to have just a sense of no control.
Mm-hmm.
When I say I'm a very controlling person, very, very methodical, I want to keep myself together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I absolutely will speak my mind. You know what I mean? When we can, but it's back. We're full circle now. This is the palindrome. We've come back to that thing. But my method is to sit and consider and go, okay, okay, Josh. Wow, this is really happening, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You know what I mean? I got to get a handle on this. And so that Regenerator's been really quite something. So
yeah, it took a long time to make. It was made out of love for someone who was hooked on benzodiazepines. And like I said, it hits the same part of the brain. And doing some research on that, I was like, whoa, this could help people with drinking too.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing. It's just a
It's
GABA
incredible.
deficiency.
Absolutely incredible.
So yeah, and then of course I have Loot, which is
Yeah, I'm excited to know about
when
that.
when you give up the drinking and you still want to have a good time. It's a cannabis cocktail.
Yeah, right.
So it's non-toxic, but it'll still get you to a uplifted space.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming.
Hey, I can't thank you enough for having me on your show. I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and then we'll do it again soon.
Okay, whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever.
Ciao, y'all.